I have finalized my Lotus Emira order and configuration with Gator Motorsport, aka Indy Lotus. And so I just wanted to run through that configuration, how I made a couple of the final decisions. I'm sharing with you the MSRP, the invoice, the deposit down, and that, so you can kind of see how that works with Gator. Not every dealer, as I understand it, is handling this the same. Some are not requiring that 10% deposit, but I don't know why they might be different. I think Gator is just trying to make sure they have serious customers, and I don't know, maybe other dealers are thinking it's to their advantage if customers back out when that 10% comes due, and then they have Emiras in stock that they can sell on the market. I'm not sure, I'm just kind of speculating there. It's just interesting how different dealers seem to be handling this differently.
If you're in the United States and you're paying anything significantly different from what I'm paying for your Lotus Emira, I'd love to hear about it. Please share the details in the comments section.
The other thing to let you know is there are actually two configurators available online. There's, I guess I'll call it for lack of better terms, the old configurator and the new configurator. When I've talked with the Lotus representatives about this, they believe that this new configurator is the one that will continue on going forward, and the old one will eventually be discontinued because they're seeing a lot of the i4 information available only on the new configurator. And I like it. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of features that the old configurator does not have, so I thought I'd run through some of those with you today as I shared my final configuration. I love Hethel Yellow. That's my favorite color choice. And I'll just run through some of these pictures, and then there are several other modes that you can see. So you can kind of flip through them one at a time. It's kind of interesting. Over here you've got these animations that you can add in. So I can open a door, I can close the door, open a door, open another door, open the hood, or the trunk I should say. It's interesting too that it'll kind of change perspectives sometimes depending on how you do this. But now if you start going through the other pictures, they all show you the thing with all the doors open and the boot too. So I'm going to close those because I just think that's a better way of looking at things. And I'll run through these pictures without a lot of delay, just so you can see what the car looks like from many different angles. Now this is interesting. Look in here in the rear window. This engine is incomplete, and I found a couple glitches like this in the configurator. It's kind of funky. And I can, how does it work? I guess it's not in this mode. In one of the modes you can kind of zoom in, but you can see that there are just like screws sitting upright in here, and the cover is missing from this engine. But what you're seeing is not the actual engine, because I'm sure it's not as plain and tidy as what you see in this image. So anyhow, that's just kind of interesting. I'm not sure why they did that, if it was an omission, an error, or what, and maybe it'll be rectified in the future. That's gorgeous right there. You can see I chose these diamond cut wheels. I really like those. Although I will say that I think several of the other wheel choices were also very attractive. I did go with the black calipers here. You see that one of the funky things here is this logo is obviously not a very good image. I'm not sure why, but they seem to have trouble putting their own logos on there. You'd think they'd have tons and tons of image stock that they could make those look pretty realistic, but that's what you have. And you see that somewhat consistently because there should be a logo right here in the middle of the steering wheel, and again, it's missing, so that's kind of weird. Your intrepid reporter has done some research, and I found on one dealer's website this update on the Lotus Emira FE version 2. Down at the bottom here, you'll see that it says that there's going to be new badging available. And so I did a little bit more research, and I found this article from Car Throttle, which talks about Lotus redesigning their logo from the traditional green on yellow background to one that is just black on a flat yellow background. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like in the cars. Kind of interesting that they're introducing that as a change between the first edition V1 and first edition V2 cars, but I will be very curious to see what that looks like. And mystery solved. You can see I chose the Alcantara interior with the yellow stitching. I think that really is a nice accent. And although it's not very brash or outstanding, you do kind of see it with the little hints of the exterior color at the same time. So I think that's just pretty nice. The other thing you'll notice here is that there's no colored marker at the top of the steering wheel, which I really, really wanted. I have that in my Lotus Elise, although the previous owner did that custom. But I've seen images where there's like a yellow marker for the Hethel yellow exterior body color. I touched base with the dealer, and what he tells me is that this is only being offered on the automatic version of the Lotus Emira. He doesn't know why. I don't know why. I've heard that there's a supplier issue with getting the steering wheels with those custom accent colors. It's just kind of a bummer. I might try and add that after the fact myself. And this is one of my favorite images with that stitching, because you've got the steering wheel and then the stitching just forms this perfect frame around it. I just think that's super duper cool. The other thing I was thinking about today that kind of made me laugh is I have a 2008 Lotus Elise SC, and I think this exact same gear shift knob has carried forward from my Elise to the Evora and now into the Emira. So I will be kind of curious to see if there are any other little legacy bits that carry forward. For example, I was going to see what the pedals looked like in the manual car, which is what I'm ordering. That's gorgeous. You could change your environment, but I personally found that I like this sort of city environment. It seems like it's more realistic, so I thought that was the best one to choose. You can look at animations, and this is what I had mentioned earlier, where you can kind of open the doors, close the doors, open doors, close the doors. You can download screenshots here. I'm not going to do that. Now you can go into this 3D mode, and this is really cool because now you can kind of rotate the car however you want. And I think one of the things I thought was interesting, so I discovered when you do the Blackpack, the upper Blackpack I should say, because I have the lower Blackpack on this car, it changes a couple things. So first off, the roof is black, the top of the mirrors is black. You can't see it quite from this angle, but the top is yellow, it's body color, but the bottom is black. The top gets also blacked out, and these can trails here that go all the way down to the fender well, those become black. And the exhaust tips get blacked out, as well as the Lotus logo here. And when I was first looking at these images, I was like, is that Lotus logo already blacked out? That seems kind of weird. And it's just the lighting in this configurator. If you catch the right lighting, you can see that it actually is shiny. So it is chromed. But I just found it was interesting that it's not obviously a silver, it's not obviously silver metallic from these images. I'll be curious to see what it looks like in person. And then here, as I was mentioning, you can zoom in, right? And so if you look really carefully, you can see just these bolt pegs sticking up. See, look at this bolt just sitting up here, and then this is just sort of a black amorphous blob, which I guess, you know, they're telling us the engine is a black box. It's just a magical power plant with, I don't know if it's run on rainbows or what, but anyhow, that's kind of interesting. So we've seen at least two significant glitches, the one with the steering wheel logo being missing and then this being missing. Let's see to what extent the 3D will go. This is pretty cool, seeing it from this ground perspective. That's interesting. I didn't really pay attention. It almost looks like there's quite an inset here. When I was test driving cars last week in person, I didn't pay super close attention to a lot of those details. You kind of forget to look at certain things because of all the excitement of getting to actually see and touch and drive the car. I mean, it was just amazing. So anyhow, I like this 3D thing. It's very cool. So to show you again, when you choose the upper Blackpack, so if I go into my exterior options, here it is, Blackpack, choose upper Blackpack, or a full Blackpack they call it. Okay, so it went ahead and rotated me around. But if you take a look, so you can see, you know, it changed the tops of the mirrors, it changed these pillars here, so really this whole area is now blackened. And then something I didn't realize until someone mentioned it to me on one of the forums, actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't one of the forums, it was on one of my YouTube videos. They commented there. The exhaust tips are blacked out, and then the Lotus emblem here is also blacked out. So you can see now it doesn't reflect silver, it's just, blacked out. So I had decided, although I really like this upper Blackpack, I was really debating whether I should get the upper Blackpack or just the lower Blackpack, and someone finally made what I thought was a great point, which is that I can always order it body color and then get a partial wrap. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to order the car body color yellow and then maybe drive it like that for a year, and after a year perhaps I will get a upper Blackpack wrap. So I'm sure I can wrap all the roof and these pillars here. I'm quite certain I can wrap the upper portion of the side view mirrors, and that will only leave the Lotus logo in the back and the exhaust tips. I'm not too worried if those are not also blacked out. I know the person who commented that was sort of important to him, but I think for me it's not particularly important. And I did talk to the Indy Lotus dealer while I was there about a couple things like these exhaust tips. And he said you could order those things as parts from Lotus. So if I wanted to swap that stuff out, I could always do that. But anyhow, I do really like it with the upper Blackpack. Oh well, I guess I've already locked in my order, so I'm going to go with the lower Blackpack only. And again, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I think that's also gorgeous. Okay, so that was the 3D mode. Now if I go back to 2D, then there's this 360 view, which is kind of cool too. And you can just kind of rotate the car around however you like. So there you go. I think those are the main configuration choices that I've made, things that I wanted to discuss and show you. And I'm really excited and looking forward to getting my Lotus Emira. I'm going to have to be patient because I think it's going to be probably another 6 months. It's probably March or April of 2024 before I actually get to take delivery of that car. So it's going to be really, really hard to be patient and wait until then. But that's what it's going to be. Now, the other thing that was kind of interesting just to share with you all is that a friend of mine is planning a trip. He's going to be living in Barcelona for about a month from December until January. And he really loves the Morgan three-wheeler, and he would one day love to own a Porsche 911 Targa. And so he was looking around and he found places where we can rent those cars. And the Morgan rental was in the UK, obviously. So I said, hey, we could take a trip to the UK, and maybe I could take a trip to the Lotus factory as well. And so I reached out to the Indy Lotus dealer and I said, hey, is there any way that I could know like when my car is being manufactured and potentially plan a trip around that? Or is there any kind of a, customer tour type deal that could be arranged? And he said that he didn't think so, that what they'd been told was that wasn't something they're offering to US customers. I'm pretty sure some of the European and UK-based customers have been able to do that and even take delivery of their vehicles there. I'd also heard that Lotus was starting to offer track day experiences on their private testing track. So anyhow, when those plans start to firm up, I'm going to start exploring options and see if I can have some fun over there. And who knows, if the timing works out right, maybe I could even see my own car during manufacturing. So that would be quite a hoot. I'd really enjoy that. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I hope you will also check out all my other Lotus Emira videos. I've got many more planned, so please stay tuned, and if you're not already subscribed, subscribe and turn notifications on so that you'll be notified every time I put out a new Emira video. Have a great day, and whatever you're driving, I hope you're having a blast driving it.